Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Ashleen Seitz, writer, coach, goofball. Excited to have you here with me today. Continuing what I started last week, which is our habits series of writing, just the basics, so that if you are ever stuck, feeling lost, like, oh my gosh, how do I even get back into this routine of writing, or how do I start it? You can just come back to this series, watch through it, hopefully be super simple tips to help you get going. Super simple tips to help you get going. I know, I'm weird. It's okay. You just embrace it. Be here with me in the weird. Great, thanks. I appreciate that. All right, so habits. Today we're going to talk about just write something. Similar to last week, which is always write first, but this week we're going to talk about just write something. And it's so easy as a writer, as a creative person in general, honestly, as a human being, to fall into this perfectionist camp where it feels like whatever we do needs to be perfect on the first try, or perfect, like have the best idea possible on the way. So I fall into this trap of like, I don't know what to write because will I make more money on this? Will I make more money on that? Am I going to be better at this? Is this character going to be more likable? Is that, I just fall into this like routine questioning of what should I do? What should I write? How should I write? And wanting it to be the best that it can be, so if you feel that way, I totally understand. Absolutely. I think most writers do understand that. So I'd say just if that's you, first of all, I'm sorry. Take a deep breath. And here is someone who also writes, giving you permission to write terrible things. Okay? You have my full permission to write bad stuff. In actuality, I want you to write bad stuff because that's how you get to the good stuff. And we all know that realistically, but when it comes to our own writing, it's not what we do. So, a couple of habits and reasons to just write something. Doesn't matter what it is. First of all, I mean, this is kind of obvious, but it creates the habit of writing. So I think you have to do something for 5 days for it to even start to be a habit. And then it has to be I think it's 3 weeks at least before it becomes a more permanent habit. And then the longer you go, the harder that habit is going to be to break. And once you get out of the habit, it should be easier to get back in. So simple concept, just creating that habit of writing, and then it will get easier as you go. The second thing is growing your skills. So I started a personal blog back in 2012, 11 years ago now. And it was going to be about my ministry work and just my thoughts and experiences. And I started writing, and I wrote on and off. I wasn't super consistent, but I wrote on and off for a couple of years. And then I started writing once a week. And somewhere after I started writing once a week, my friend Karen, KJ as I like to call her, became my de facto editor. I honestly don't even know how it happened. I think I just said, hey, will you read this? Tell me what you think. And she was so good at it that I just, from then on, she's been editing all of my stuff. And so, not all of my stuff, all of my blog posts. And she has super helped me. So we'll talk about getting an editor or someone having eyes on it later. But my point in this is that I have written on and off on that blog for 11 years, and I have gotten so much better. I mean, I can tell a huge difference going back to some of those first blog posts. I'm like, did you have a point? I mean, why did you even sit down to write this? Did you think this was a credible idea? Like, what were you doing? And now I can look at it, and I'm hoping that in another 10, 11 years, I can look back and be like, whew, Frand, you should have polished that a little bit more, you should come at it this way or whatever. Because I want to keep growing. And it's hard to look back on stuff that was not so great. But it gets you moving, and it gets you writing, and it gets you practicing your craft. And on that thought, you don't have to share everything you write. You really don't. You can write things just for you. I would recommend that you do share things because, again, with my editor KJ and all of that she does for me and encourage me, and all blog readers, thank you so much for continuing to read my blog, which is at ashleen.me, by the way, if you're curious. I mean, these people encourage me and they challenge me and they help me to grow as a writer. But there are things that I write that I just say, that was just for me. I'm just going to set that one aside. Maybe I'll come back to it maybe in months and say I can edit it to be something that I want people to see, but often it's not. And that's totally okay. So if you feel like you're writing something terrible, don't be like, who's going to read this? Well, no one has to. It can be just for you. So it's okay. And then lastly, I talked about this big time last week, but it's worth saying again, so I'm going to say it again. You can't edit a blank page. You can edit something terrible, but you can't edit a blank page. So just pick something and start writing. Whatever it is, it's going to be okay. You're going to figure it out. And if you end up just scrapping it and starting over, you learned something in the process. And I do know that's really difficult to throw out writing or to just start somewhere and be like, is this the best place to start? I don't know. I get it. And I'm sorry it is that way. But you can do it. Just write something, whatever it is, and it will help you get better and create the habit and come back to writing over and over and over again. So those are my thoughts for today. Just write something. As always, would love to have you subscribe to the channel and join me on this journey. I have a couple more basic habits to talk about. And then also, I want to know what you're reading. So hit me in the comments with what you're reading. I will throw in this week. I was reading and I took a break from it and I'm coming back. I'm actually on my second read through of The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. It's an excellent book. It is written from a Christian perspective, so if that's not you, maybe not for you, but honestly, there's a lot in it, like scientific things in it that you might still find really fascinating and helpful. It's basically this idea of calming down, taking time out of your life to do the things that are important to you and rest and not just be racing along all the time. And I feel like, honestly, I need this like annual reminder. I don't know what it is about fall, but I get to fall and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. And I need this annual reminder. So I'm about halfway through on my second read and hoping to finish that in the next week or two. So that's what I'm reading. Would love to hear what you're reading. That's it. Talk to you next time.